Hello, I'm back. I'm gonna do the Pandaemonium, or at least start. It appears my calculations were correct. I knew that at this very spot I would encounter none other than Cheese, the hero who saw us through the final days. So certain I was of my math that I stood here for. Well, let's not concern ourselves with that. I'm an MGG, assistant to one Professor Claudian. We work with the... Give me 1 second to close that. We work with the Aetioscope to observe the ethereal sea and delve into its myriad mysteries. Some mysteries, though, are beyond our capabilities to unravel. The strange crystal we but recently discovered, for instance, defies our every conjecture. We've been to the center of the star and far beyond it, however, so we hope that you may see something in this crystal that we academics do not. I beg you lend us your well-traveled eye to Emporia. Professor Claudian will be eagerly awaiting your arrival. Claudian at Emporia. I'll play for about an hour. Hopefully I can maybe get like 1 or 2 of the trials done. It really just depends how much talking there is, and well, of course, the queue time. Greetings, Cheese, and welcome to my humble laboratory. I'm sure an MGG has already told you plenty about us, but allow me to introduce myself personally. I am Claudian, leader of this little research collective. I must admit, I have been nervous about this meeting ever since an MGG set out to find you. For a researcher in my field, there is no greater an honor than to meet the first woman in history to traverse the ethereal sea and return to tell the tale. The professor speaks often and at length of your deeds, but he has no small number of achievements to his own name. He has peered deeper into the ethereal sea than any other in Charlian, and the breadth of his knowledge is peerless. Peerless, perhaps, but for a single woman, we must seize this precious opportunity to learn what we can from her, and perhaps crack this conundrum that has stumped the three of us for moons. It was we who peered into the fathomless sea from the Anti-Tower and the Dravanian hinterlands. There we spoke with Hydaelyn and learned of the fate that would befall the star the final days. Soon thereafter, all research was moved to Labyrinthos, and though the 80-ish whatever scope did we continue our vigil, as impressive a work as the device is, however, it can glimpse but a fraction of the sea's infinite depths. Which brings us to the matter at hand. Not long after the Exodus was declared, we recovered an unusual crystal shard during a routine observation. It appeared before us suddenly, as if propelled to the surface by some unknown force. We found that it possessed an ethereal density that exceeds that of normal crystals by orders of magnitude, and its shape resembles nothing which occurs in the natural world. It was made, not formed. Unfortunately, that was the extent of the information we could glean before we were forced to turn our focus towards the Exodus. The crystal was very nearly forgotten amidst the sudden upheaval. But thanks to the efforts of a certain someone, that crisis is now behind us, and we are free to resume our research. Gotta do one more thing. Okay. Thus did we decide to seek you out, the dauntless adventurer who delved into the unknown and beheld its innermost secrets, and now we would have you see for yourself. Here is the crystal in question. If it resembles aught you have encountered before, even by the smallest degree, please say so. Oh, it's one of those. What do you call it? Memory abides within this crystal. I know of someone who bears a similar crystal. Let's go with memory abides within this crystal. As I thought, you do know what this is. Please tell me everything. I see the Asians use these to transfer their memories to new vessels. Fascinating indeed. It was plain that this crystal was special somehow, but this revelation surpasses even my considerable expectations. Similar artifacts have appeared throughout the ages, memories of martial techniques manifested as crystalline shards on the battlefield or storied stones passed from master to student. A comparison between said artifacts and this crystal may prove a fruitful first step in unveiling its true nature. What do you think, Professor? Asian memories, windows through which we can gaze upon the convocation of 14. Unlike the crystal in Shiza's story, this one does not bear the mark of the convocation. Who then could these memories belong to? And more importantly, why were they stored in this particular shard? More importantly still, why was it set adrift on the ethereal sea? Professor Claudian. Huh? Yes. I'm well aware that contemplation is the key to breakthrough, but there is propriety to consider. We have a guest, to one you invited explicitly. Must we do this every time? What? Ah, yes, of course, our guest. Terribly sorry I do so easily find myself unmoored by the tides of rumination. Perhaps a more engaging use of your time with us would be for you to take up that crystal. If indeed there are memories stored within, they may reveal themselves to you upon contact. If anyone message come Pandaemonium, please. Faces, grave threat, star in danger. That expression does not bode well. What did you see? Pandaemonium, just not a word I have heard before. If my knowledge of the ancient tongue serves me, it means all demons, not a name that inspires optimism, all things considered. In the event that another star-shattering cataclysm is in fact bearing down upon us, I would have the aforementioned examples of crystallized memory to hand. Nimjiji, Rusi, whatever, I entrust their procurement to you. If there are more memories to be extracted from this crystal, we will find them. As for you, Cheese, there is a person I would have you seek, the one who has delivered so dire a warning. Your story tells us that this crystal could very well have been made by one of the ancients. If that is the case, then discerning the nature of this pandemonium would require a trip far into the past, to an era before the Sundering. I know of only one individual capable of such a feat, the very hero who traversed time to prevent the world's doom. I must confess, the tales people tell of your adventures beggar belief, and their veracity has been a subject of much debate among my peers. After today's meeting, however, there can be no doubt in my mind that every incredible exploit is fact. So I ask you now, return to the past, find out what and where Pandaemonium is, and if we need to be concerned by this message. Thank you. For the time being, you should keep the crystal in your possession. I do not think you have seen the last of its memories, and more may be drawn out as you approach their source. Safe travels, and may we meet again soon to share our findings. Turning to the ocular. Oh, I gotta go to Crystarium. It's cool to be back here again. shit is really bright. Oh, I could have teleported. Welcome, LA. Yeah. If receives this message. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to click. Come, Pandaemonium, quickly. Could it be? No, of course not. Apologies, but for the briefest moment I thought you'd be a dear friend of mine. I realize now that such a notion is preposterous. She told me a falling star would appear before me, and I suppose you must be it. Truth be told, I did not expect the expression to be so literal. Themis. Apologies for not introducing myself properly. My name is Themis, as you can see by my bare face. I'm not one of Elpis's observers. Rather, I come here on an assignment which has been more or less routine up until this very moment. You certainly do know how to make an entrance. I must wonder what brought you here, for it is plain that you do not belong here, or any place I know, for that matter. I'm Azum's familiar. It appears my initial impression was not so preposterous after all. Did not know my friend had such a unique familiar at her disposal. If you're here at Azum's behest, then I believe I can hazard a guess as to your purpose. You are here to investigate Pandaemonium, yes? If so, we may be able to help one another, but first might I trouble you to explain how you came to collide with my skull? I see. I believe that dispels any major doubts I had concerning your intentions. Apologies for being so intrusive, but you must understand this is an uncommon occurrence. I shall pry no further, for I am well aware that we all have secrets we must keep. However, if I may, I would very much like to take a look at this crystal of yours. Fascinating. While I cannot say much as what it contains, it is clear that there are memories stirring within. Memories that speak of something gravely amiss in Pandaemonium. The facility extends beneath Elpis and is overseen by the words of La Habrea. It houses those creations that are highly valued as research subjects and highly dangerous to the star. Naturally, it is strictly guarded and under constant surveillance. Several days ago, however, an unnatural shift in the flow of its surrounding aether was detected. Soon thereafter, all communications from Pandaemonium ceased. I am here as a representative of an organization that works directly with the Convocation and has been tasked with investigating this incident. Now that there is some measure of transparency between us, might I offer a suggestion as to what we should do next? We go together. I don't remember what, I think critical hit. I mean, I'm not going to use it anyway. During the course of your investigation, you may discover valuable artifacts. These can be exchanged for equipment by speaking with Moline and... Oh, okay. Rad's hand. Where familiars dare. Oh yeah, Toasty told me I should be getting some specific tokens. I guess maybe it's on the newest one. Now then, my proposal is a simple one. Let us journey to Pandaemonium together. Our destination is the same, and I suspect the arrangement would work to our mutual benefit. Besides, I should have no trouble gaining us both access. I do hope you agree. I would be loath to part ways from the falling star I had been waiting so long for. Originally, I had planned to conduct my investigation with the friend I mentioned earlier. She had also noticed the anomaly near Pandaemonium, so it only seemed natural that we should investigate it together. However, she eventually decided that it would be unwise for us both to go. Two members of our organization were seen poking our heads about restricted facilities that could raise questions, you see. I decided to go alone, but she left me with these words: "Fear not, for in my absence a star shall fall before you." While I could not comprehend her meaning at the time, I believe now I understand she does have a way of being right about these things. I wonder if it was, Even so, her hints of what to come are generally more cryptic. I suppose I should have kept my gaze to the heavens. Suffice it to say that I am grateful for your presence either way. As for the matter at hand, we must first gain permission from the words of La Habrea for entry into Pandaemonium. There ought to be a speaker waiting at whatever. I wonder if it was Heidelin, or whatever her name is, here, before she was Heidelin. What a fascinating etheric signature. In accordance with the Convocation's request, the two of you have been granted leave to observe Pandaemonium. I shall register your aether for the records. From this point on, you may freely come and go from Pandaemonium as you please. Now that was a painless process. I take this as a sign that we were meant to conduct our investigations together. Of course, while you have been permitted entry into the facility, the specimens housed inside must be handled with the utmost care. You are to heed the warder's instructions at all times. Those who conduct their work within Pandaemonium are called warders for their role with respect to the creatures within. Generally, creations that pose a threat to the safety of the star must be undone. However, the words of La Habrea has deemed certain such creations as worthy of further study, interring them within the facility. Those who spend their days at Pandaemonium are not merely researchers, they must work tirelessly to ensure that none of their subjects slip their shackles. For all intents and purposes, the place is a dungeon. Perhaps such a comparison arouses frightful imagery, but Pandaemonium is a frightful place. It's like SCP for Final Fantasy. I know not the purpose of your investigation, but if you discover aught that merits a report, pray do so with utmost haste. Master Lahabrea shall guide us on the proper course of action from there. Then I take it that means you have detected nothing amiss as of late. The warders have reported nothing that would cause alarm. Minor fluctuations in ether have been observed, but surely Master Lahabrea would have acted if there were anything worth worrying about. I see. It appears Lahabrea is kept well abreast of the goings on here then. I hope I am not overstepping my boundaries by asking, but you seem to be quite familiar with Master Lahabrea. Do you know him? Did I kill him, right? In the... what do you call it? Know him, we've met. That a mere familiar would have had the honor to meet Master Lahabrea. He is not known to easily afford others his time, so you must be extraordinary indeed to be granted even a moment of it. Regardless, while I doubt I need to tell you this, he is of the convocation. Take care of that your actions do not hinder his work. And with that, we are free to make our way to Pandaemonium. The Neus that will take us there is on the eastern bank of Leith. Let us delay no further. I'll be surprised if I get 2 dungeons in. Hopefully I can get at least 1. Excuse me. So there's no point in me doing this tomorrow, because my gear, I needed the body, and I already got better, what do you call it? I don't know if I really care for the set, to be honest. I had to contain my surprise for the sake of appearances, but is it true that you two have met Lahabrea in the flesh? I find you more fascinating by the moment. Still, I shall refrain from asking too many questions. Secret will make our journey all the more intriguing. We shall come to know each other in time, I wager, or else why would fate have orchestrated our meeting? In any case, let us be off. Truth be told, this will be my first time beholding the fabled Pandaemonium with my own eyes. Here's to a new adventure, eh? Whoa. It is much as I feared. The speaker seemed in such high spirits for a moment I thought the ethereal irregularity not nearly so grave portent as I had imagined. Alas, 'twas a fleeing in vain hope. To gaze upon this complex network of chains and wards, the untrained eye might not sense anything awry. No effort has been spared in making this place impenetrable. Even the finest of masterworks is not without its flaws, however. Someone or something is tampering with the protections. It is working from within, eroding them from the inside out. Fear not, there is no immediate danger. I reinforced what protections I could the moment we arrived. This will not put an end to whatever is occurring, but it shall at least serve to slow its progress. One small victory, though the road ahead of us is yet long. Yes, powerful forces are at work here. The silence in the air speaks volumes. While I did not expect a bustling facility, I see not a single warder. Our first course of action should be to seek one out, wherever they may be. However, there is something you must know. The magic I wove upon entering requires my constant awareness. That is to say, if we are forced to fight, I cannot risk joining you in battle. Should I lose focus, Pandaemonium's protections will rapidly crumble before the force assailing them. Were there another way, I would gladly choose it, but let us at least be grateful that neither of us is here alone, trapped in hopeless circumstances. If we should fail to find a peaceable solution, then I hope that I can rely on your strength to see us through. Of course, you have my promise. Thank you for offering your help so willingly. If weapons are drawn, I hope to be able to lend at least a touch of magical support. Creation magics do have their uses in that regard. I had it in mind to use your Aether as a basis for illusory allies that will fight at your side. Perhaps 7 shall do, not exactly an army, but by the looks of you, a formidable band nonetheless. And so shall it be. Now, what I wonder awaits us in Pandaemonium's pitiless halls. So that's how they use the excuse or the lower ways. So the people I'm gonna do the queue with, or the dungeon, or I mean the raid with, are not even gonna be real people. They're fake. First circle. Okay, and I'm gonna stop recording and I'll resume it again when it pops, hopefully soon. It popped, and I'm actually looking forward to it a little. So I can get closer to current, and then I can maybe get gear, start to get gear. 'Cause I think this is on a weekly thing too. Hopefully not this one, but I think the newest one. I'll save them. I must. This appears to be one of the warders we seek, but I'm afraid he's in no state to answer questions. Perhaps you can bring him to his senses. Oh, I gotta beat up an Ascian. Oh, this is gonna be cool if all the bosses are Ascians. Sorry about all the people and keeping waiting. Order the condemned Eric Thonios. I like that guy doing Manderville. Give it to that bard. I didn't understand. Ow. Okay, I think I go to the opposite. Luckily it's not killing me. Thought it was on me for a second. Maybe you want to go to one of those people or something? Oh, I wasted that. I'm gonna go on a blue. I think so. You go the opposite. Nod. So I don't know if I can. Does he want it all? Guess he wanted stuff. Well, it doesn't have the thing, so I'm assuming I'm safe. I'm assuming I'm safe till I get to the current. That was a thrilling display, and if I may be so vaunting, the warriors I spun from your ether fought even more splendidly than I had anticipated. I suppose they were cut from excellent cloth, after all. You should wait until this man regains his senses. He wears the robes of a warder, and I would be very curious to know what drove him to attack us, sight unseen. Cheese, he stirs. What came over me? It's coming back to me. My mind was filled with a storm of desperation and anger. I leapt at you, though I knew not of your intentions. Pray accept my apologies and my thanks. Had you not knocked some sense back into me, I may have fallen upon someone less capable of defending themselves. Nod. Smile, nod. I am Ericthonios, a warder of Asphodelos, Pandaemonium's highest lair, and the place we're in now. Kinda looks like the professor, dude. One must wonder why you were so desperate to keep us out. What is happening in Pandaemonium? The creations interred within Asphodelos have been set free and stalk its halls to no end but violence. That is not good, to say the least. Has this ever happened before? No, never. Each level of Pandaemonium is under the charge of a key ward who keeps strict control over the most minute aspects of their domain. They're selected with great care, and their loyalty to Master La Habrea is absolute. Yet something has gone terribly wrong. Try as we might to hold the line, the chaos within is overwhelming. I hardly realized that I had become separated from my colleagues. Remember a chorus of whispers assailing my senses, and afterwards only flashes of rage and fury, then blackness, from which I woke to find that whatever had overcome me was gone. I see, your senses may have been muddled by magics that affect the mind, perhaps the self-same ones that saw you separated from the other warders. Whatever had taken hold of me, thank you for releasing me from its clutches. That you've come here from the surface must mean some word of our plight has reached the outside world. If you know anything that may help, pray tell. Horror among horrors, so Pandaemonium's protections are indeed being dismantled from within. By the same individual or individuals that released its captives and set them upon you, no doubt. Such knowledge avails us little, however, if we cannot ascertain their identity. Themis, was it? You said you worked for an organization under the auspices of the Convocation. Were they to receive word of what has transpired here? What measures would they take? Doubtless they would consider this place to be a lost cause. Pandaemonium's ties to the outside world would be severed. Perhaps it would be wiped from existence entirely. As I thought, were the creatures to escape into the outside world, there would be untold carnage. The words of La Habrea would never risk that, despite what value the research subjects may hold. All the more reason to work with haste. If we can't expect further help, then it falls upon me to save the others. I'll not leave them behind. You would go alone? I won't leave the other warders to face certain doom. I know they fight for survival even now. They wouldn't abandon their duty. They would see the creatures return to their cells at all costs. And so I must do the same. Themis, I know the request I'm about to make of you is a monumental one, but please say not a word of this to the Convocation until I've been given a chance to set things right. Forgive my rudeness, Ericthonios, whatever, but my decision cannot be swayed by emotion. You would only be consigning yourself to an early death. Strength of resolve alone cannot win in the face of overwhelming odds. That being said, our investigation has only just begun, and we would be remiss to turn back ere we've made an exhaustive survey, so for the time being, there's slightly more than resolve to rely upon. I knew you'd be all too eager to join us. Each moment since you fell from the skies has been more interesting than the last. More and more you remind me of my dear friend, which goes some way toward encouraging me that this matter will yet reach a satisfactory conclusion. So, you agree to help? For the moment, our goals align. The protective magics of Pandaemonium yet hold, so for the moment, time is in our favor. Let us proceed upon the course you and Cheese have set us upon. Themis and Cheese, yes, thank you. The warders owe you a great debt already. We shall be glad to have someone familiar with Pandaemonium's halls by our side. A party of 3 is ever so much more entertaining than a pair or 2. Now let us turn our attention to rescuing our colleagues. Perhaps it would be wise to approach the gates, in case any have followed you out. So you resume it here. I wonder how you get back here if I leave. I'll accept it, and then I'll probably be done for tonight. Not a sound can be heard from within, which means neither creature nor warder has made it this far. We should begin forming a plan to save them at once. Forgive me if I misunderstand, but do you mean to rescue the warders and creatures both? Or creations both, whatever it's in. Naturally, although they may be dangerous, they're valuable research subjects. I wouldn't see our labor, our untold hours of study go to waste. I dare say La Habrea would smile to hear you say such a thing, that is, if we had cause to report this incident to him. Smile? I'm not sure his face is capable of such warmth. Ah, so you had met him before. I was under the impression he rarely visited Pandaemonium. I have, yes. My mentor was the previous head of this facility, that is to say La Habrea's predecessor in the position of chief keyword. Her name was Athena, and she was a researcher with the wards. 'Twas she who appointed me to this position, in fact. See, I did not know there was a chief keyword before La Habrea. Your motivation to save your research subjects is not entirely driven by duty to the wards. Then, you wish to also preserve the work of your mentor. You have the right of it. I'm lacking in ideas of how to go about that, however. I'm a mere warder and cannot wield interment magics. But of course, I can hardly expect you to be versed in the magics we use here. If you recall, during our battle earlier, I bound you in ethereal shackles. Interment is a more refined and powerful magic based upon the same principles. While both are used to keep our subjects docile, only the key ward of each tier is permitted to use interment. Even if I were allowed, I lack the aptitude to use the spell to any notable effect. Fascinating. I have some knowledge of these forms of spellcraft, actually. La Habrea himself established their foundation, if I recall. While shackles are meant to bind an object in place for a short time, interment freezes the very space around it for as long as the caster wills. Indeed, while the illusory beings you summoned in our fight suggested as much, I see your knowledge of magic is vast. Perhaps you've already mastered the art of interment, and I've been lecturing you like a child all this time. I'm afraid my knowledge ends there. I have not, Jesus Christ, the precise understanding of how the invocations interact with natural laws that would be needed to cast said spell. Well, who cares? It's magic. While I consider myself well versed in various magics, I would be ill-advised to assume the duties of keyword without instruction. That being said, if I were to learn more of the interment and itinerant, perhaps. Leave the fighting me, you can figure out the rest. Well, you have a warder standing in front of you. Well, the solution is obvious when you put it like that. Eric Thonios, you implied that what prevented you from performing interment was the lack of magical capacity. What if I supplemented your power with my own? Would the spell succeed then? I can't say for certain. Never heard of such a thing being done. I believe it may be our best recourse. That is, of course, assuming you can perform the initial rites and incantations flawlessly. Even the smallest misstep, and we would have to start over. You needn't worry about that. I've seen the spells cast so many times that their motions have been burned into my memory. I won't disappoint. Very well, let us work out the specifics afterwards. Once we do, we can test out our methods on one of the escaped creatures, though I suppose there is the matter of finding one. It would be foolish to rush in blindly lest we find ourselves surrounded with naught but an untested stratagem at our disposal. Nay, I would prefer to engage a single creature that Cheese could dispatch on her own if the spell were to go awry. I agree, and I may have an idea in that regard. I recall seeing the hippocampus wandering the waterways during my flight. Perhaps it's still there. Few of the subjects housed within house whatever are fond of water, and I believe we'll be able to engage the beast without fear of unwanted guests. Then that shall be our first target, or perhaps subject is a better term. Before we commence with the intermittent magics, the creature should be weakened to a sufficient degree. I believe I can trust you with that task. As dependable as ever. Once you have given it a thorough trouncing, we shall bind this hippocampus with the keywords magic. Until then, my illusions shall fight by your side. The hippocampus will be alone, but it's a daunting opponent nonetheless. Its magic warps the environment around it. It will be at home amidst the waterways. Steel yourself for a fight. Alright, part 2. And that is it for now. And penis, and I'll end it when I actually get to the, whatever you want to call it, this screen. And yeah, that's it. Penis, thank you for watching. I'm gonna go to Rads at Hand, take a look at the armor stuff, and yeah.